A very warm welcome to our Honorable Finance Minister, Shri Arun Jaitley, and also to our Honorable Labour and Employment Minister, Shri Bandaru Dattraya. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome the Honorable Finance Minister, Honorable Commerce and Industry and Honorable Labour Employment Minister, senior officials of Government of India, industry representatives and media persons to this launch event. I would like to request Shri Shailendra Singh, Joint Secretary, DIPP, to please present a bouquet to the Honorable Finance Minister, Shri Arun Jaitley. The Honorable Commerce and Industry Minister, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman. Honorable Labour and Employment Minister, Shri Bandaru Dattraya. And also to the Country Director, World Bank, Mr. Onu Rule. Thank you all. I thank you all for joining us this afternoon, and I would now request Secretary, Department of Industry, Policy and Promotion, Shri Amitabh Kant, to deliver the welcome address.
Honorable Finance Minister, Honorable Labour Minister, the Minister for Commerce and Industry, the Country Director of the World Bank, all my distinguished colleagues, all the secretaries, the Commerce Secretary, the Company Affairs, the Revenue Secretary, the Banking Secretary, the Deputy Governor of Reserve Bank, the DG of Foreign Trade, the Labour Secretary, and my colleagues from Infosys who've played a very major role, and the CJ of Accounts, all of whom have been partners in this project with us. Sir, as all of us are aware, the Prime Minister has really challenged all of us to make India an extremely easy place to do business. May I also take this opportunity to welcome the Minister of State for Finance, Mr. Jayant Sinha, and may I request Mr. Shailendra Singh to kindly welcome him with a bouquet of flowers. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we are all aware, India has been an extremely complex, extremely complicated, and extremely difficult place to do business. It's placed at 142nd position in the Ease of Doing Business Index by the World Bank. The Prime Minister has challenged all of us to make India an extremely easy place to do business. All of us in the government have been working towards this, and I think there are only two ways to do this. One is to eliminate a number of processes, procedures, rules, regulations, which we've built over the last 60 years. Number two is to use technology to leapfrog and to converge and integrate. And all of us in government work in independent silos, and it was very important to integrate, converge all of us together. In the eBiz platform, our attempt is that there should be only one paper for every investor, and there should be only one point of payment, and that paper should move through all the departments, and the payment point should then get apportioned between the central government, the state government, the municipalities. And on this, a lot of hard work has been put in by Infosys, which is our technology partner, to perfect the technological back end of this. This is a very unique challenge for India, because we are not a small city state, we are much larger than 24 countries of Europe, and to build up a back end which will hold this together. And we worked very closely with them, and we've worked very closely with all the different departments. And I'd specifically like to mention all the secretaries who've partnered us. The Secretary Company Affairs, the Secretary Commerce, the DG Foreign Trade, the Secretary Revenue, the Secretary Labor, Secretary Banking. All of us have worked as a team. And we've put together 14 services of Government of India, 11 which are being launched today, and 3 which we had done earlier. The DIPP2 services of Industrial License and Entrepreneur Approval Memorandum, and the ESIC we had done together. So actually 14 services of Government of India will be available together. And this is actually a unique venture. And our objective is that we are able to merge together all the government services and eventually tie up all the states one by one, over a period of time. We are starting off with Andhra, where we are in the next month integrating 12 services of Andhra, but all the key states and union territories will integrate with this together. And we are determined and totally convinced that it is possible to make India an easy place to do business and make a quantum jump as far as this is concerned. And this will bring simplicity, transparency, and predictability in government functioning, because there will be one composite application form, one single payment. There will be defined time frame, and this use of technology for returns, for taxes, for permits, for compliances, for approvals, for permission, all this will get integrated, and there will be a radical shift in the government service delivery approach from being department-centric to customer-centric approach. So the real value proposition to the investor is in terms of a one-stop shop. This will have huge information flow. You can use the wizard of eBiz. You can ask any question. The content is updated regularly. You can apply and pay for licenses online. There will be reduced total time, end-to-end online transaction, reduction in interdepartmental wait time, reduced total cost because there will be elimination of any kind of physical intervention. You can do it mobile first, so anytime, anywhere, anyhow, there will be visibility and transparency. And there will be secured transaction through digital signature certificates and strategic control and security backup. And our view is that this should lead to investment growth over a period of time, bring in technological excellence, enablement, establish platform, and overall an impact on a better business environment in terms of improved visibility and transparency. This is our pilot phase scope of work. We are integrated 14 services, but in the long run, we'll do 26 central services across 9 departments. We'll link up 24 state services, and we have taken up 5 states, which we'll complete in the next 2 months, and then take up other additional states. And all the key states where investment are coming in will all get integrated through the eBiz platform. So these are the list of the Government of India's services with the Honorable Finance Minister and the Honorable Labor and the Minister for Commerce and Industries and the Minister of State for Finance will launch together. These are listed here, the different departments who worked with us: Corporate Affairs, CBDT, Reserve Bank, Employees Provident Fund Organization, Petroleum and Explosives and Safety Organization, the DGFT. The whole number of agencies involved. Behind this, the back end has been a function of several banks, the software testing and quality certification, the NIC, the National Institute of Smart Governance, the Controller General of Account, and I'd really like to thank him because he's gone a step further, changed the PAO system for centralized booking of central government receipts from eBiz platform. He's allowed us to use credit cards, etc. And this is really the roadmap as we launch the state services in the remaining pilot states of the long-term objective is to integrate central government services with the state services. And we are committed for making India an extremely easy place to do business. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, sir, Shri Amitabh Kant. May I now request Country Director, World Bank, Mr. Onu Rule, to kindly deliver his address.
Honourable Minister of Finance, Honourable Minister for Labour, Honourable Minister for Commerce and Industry, Honourable Minister of State for Finance, and As I called him in Mumbai a few weeks ago, the other Amitabh, the one in charge of making India an easier place to do business. Why is this important? It's important, first of all, because the Prime Minister made it a goal. But the reason he made it a goal is because India needs jobs. And making India an easier place to do business will definitely help Indian businesses create more jobs and lift jobs to higher spheres out of the informal sector into the informal sector, and will allow small and medium enterprises to grow. So what is being launched today is a path-breaking platform. It's based on the concept of using technology to leapfrog, as Mr. Kant said. It's a great concept. It's especially a great concept if it actually triggers those in the back room to change the way they work, which we are certain they will. And why is the World Bank country director saying a few words? Well, very simple. Until very recently, India and the World Bank argued over the doing business ranking, its methodology, whether it was good or bad. And then the Prime Minister said, let's stop this argument, let's just think together about how we can make India an easier place to do business and improve the ranking, which has a symbolic impact, but the real impact is changing the way government works for business and with that for its people. So I'm here to say very clearly that we at the World Bank see ourselves as partners to the government of India in achieving this objective, that our team and me myself will be as excited when the next ranking gets released as those in the government of India who work on this, and as eager to see India's ranking improve rapidly, because we believe that working together to improve the ease of doing business in India is a visionary goal that will allow more Indians of all walks of life to get jobs. I wish you great luck, and I hope that people will use this platform, and that the people providing the back-end services using this platform will see it as their challenge to make sure that the services are provided as quickly as possible and indeed without physical intervention. Thank you very much.
Mr. Onurul, thank you so much. And now I would like to request Honorable Commerce and Industry Minister, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman, to please say a few words.
Honorable Finance Minister, Shri Arun Jaitley ji, Shri Bandaru Dattatreya ji, Labour Minister, Shri Jayant Sinha ji, Minister of State Finance, the World Bank representative in India, Mr. Rule, Secretary, Department of Industries. Today we are glad to launch this portal, which is actually a response to the Prime Minister's challenge that India should now make it easy for businesses, and we should use technology to bring in greater transparency in everything that we do in the government. As was said in great detail by the Secretary, today 11 different services are being put on the portal. I'm glad that the Finance Minister, notwithstanding his busy schedule in preparing the budget, has kindly agreed to be here with us to launch the portal. We shall expand the portal. I'm not going to take more of all our time. We are eager to hear the Finance Minister. Many of the details have already been informed by the Secretary. The press note will also give you a complete detail on what are the services, what specific services are being made available through this portal. We shall keep expanding them. Just for me to broadly underline those specific services on which we are going to be moving forward today, I would like to list the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Name availability for companies is the service which is going to be available. Again, under Corporate Affairs, Director Identification Number and the certificate of incorporation. That is also a service through the Corporate Affairs which will be made available. Commencement of businesses, again under the Corporate Affairs. As regards the Central Board of Direct Taxes, 2 particular services are coming on board now through this eBiz portal. Issue of tax deduction account number, the TAN, advance foreign remittance, the AFR, will also now be available on this portal. From the Reserve Bank's end, we have two specific services which are coming on. The Advanced Foreign Remittance, again, AFR. Sorry, about the CBDT, it should have been the PAN and the TAN. And the Reserve Bank of India is the Advanced Foreign Remittance, AFR, and again under the Reserve Bank of India, Foreign Collaboration General Permission Route, the FCGPR, are being made available through this portal. The Employees Provident Fund Organization would show the employer registration, and the Petroleum and Explosive Safety Organization will be doing the issue of explosive license through this portal. And finally, the Director General of Foreign Trade would have the Importer-Exporter Code license also being made available through this eBiz platform. As the Secretary rightly pointed out, we are working with the states to get them on board. 10 pilot states have been identified. We start with Andhra Pradesh, Delhi, Haryana, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Odisha, Punjab, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, and West Bengal have been identified for implementation of this eBiz project. Among these pilot states, Andhra Pradesh state was identified to implement 27 single window services. 16 out of these 27 services will be launched shortly after the formalities like the audit and sanity testing and everything else will be sorted out. So I'm very grateful that with the Infosys's collaboration and the CAG, we have reached this far. We'll be speeding up for further expansion of this portal's services. I'm grateful today the media is fully present here to cover this important event, because this is where ease of doing business is getting established and transparency in governance is coming about. Thank you very much.
Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman, thank you. And now I'd like to welcome Shri Jayant Sinha, Minister of State Finance, to kindly address the audience.
Thank you very much. Honorable Finance Minister Shri Arun Jaitley ji, Labour Minister Shri Bandaru Dattatreya ji, Shri Nirmala Sitharaman, Honorable Minister for Commerce, Secretary Department of Industrial Promotion. I'm very glad to be here today to participate in what I think is a very significant and important step in not just making it easier to do business in India, but also to move towards a 21st century digital economy. It's always puzzled me that while we have in India some of, I think, not just the necessary, but in some ways the most globally sophisticated building blocks for a digital economy, that we have not been able to utilize them and move towards a 21st century economy. Because we have, of course, the world-leading unique identification system, Aadhaar. We have a tremendous mobile network where we have somewhere over 900 different mobile users. We have a national payments clearinghouse that is extraordinary in terms of how efficient it is and how affordable and low cost it is. And then finally, and this is an industry I personally have been associated with for a long period of time, is we have a world-leading IT and software products industry. And as a result of that, we have all the building blocks necessary to make it much easier to do business. And with the step that we have taken today, I think we are now firmly moving forward in that regard. I think what we can do now going forward and our work in the Ministry of Finance and across all the other ministries is to be able to move towards a time when we can have all digital businesses and we can have genuinely a cashless economy, so that we can make it much easier to facilitate transactions of all kinds, broaden the tax net, and bring convenience and user-friendly features to all of our businesses, whether they are micro, small businesses, a thela wala, a dukandar, a darji, a mochi on the one hand, a set of entrepreneurs trying to start a business in a dorm somewhere else, or whether it is large businesses. I think all these different enterprises can be brought in under this umbrella of being an all digital business, and I very much look forward to the next few years when we will try and implement that. Thank you again for inviting me here, and once again, congratulations for this extraordinary first step that you've taken.
Thank you, Shri Jayant Sinha. And now I'd like to request Honorable Labour and Employment Minister Shri Bandaru Dattatreya to kindly address this august gathering.
Honorable Finance Minister Sri Arun Jaitley ji, Honorable Commerce Minister Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman ji, Honorable Finance Minister M.O.S. Jayant Sinha ji, and other respected members on the dais, friends. Today I am very happy to associate in this function. I'm extremely happy that the launching of these 14 central services through single portal of eBiz, in which our Labour and Employment Ministry also, particularly EPFO, this is already started under the direction of Prime Minister and the vision of the Prime Minister regarding the e-Kranti programs. We have taken many initiatives in EPFO also. One is online filling of returns linked with the remittance of PF and allied dues. Online returns for the exempted establishments. Online transfer claims facility for members who leave one job, join other, and also universal account number for the members. And another important initiative which recently has been taken, EPF inoperative account, help desk portal for helping the members having inoperative accounts in finding their accounts details and getting the same settled. And I am also happy to say that approximately 4.3 lakh employers are there, and also 3.78 crores employees are there, in which now we are participating in this e-business program. And definitely this initiative will take easy business, the ease of business, which is very, very vital role has to play in this national economy. And I feel by this reforms initiative, the coming generation under our ministry also will get more employability and employment. That's why I am happy to associate with this function. Thanking you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shri Bandaru Dattatreya. And now I would like to request your kind attention to the audiovisual to be played featuring eBiz vision, scope, objectives, and benefits to industry and businesses. Thank you.
Starting a business is not just about robust revenue models or ambitious rollout plans. With numerous licenses and various clearances to obtain, and several acts, rules, and procedures to comply with, repeated trips to multiple websites, various departments and governmental agencies, and painstaking research and deals with middlemen only add to the confusion, ending up in a waste of time, effort, and money. Not anymore. Presenting the eBiz experience. India's premier government-to-business portal, eBiz signals a radical shift in business interactions with the government, with service focus shifting from the departments to the customer to you. As a one-stop shop, eBiz provides efficient, convenient, transparent, and secure transactions across the entire range, from information and services to approvals and tax payments, without the hassle of transacting with multiple departments or agencies, along with a host of business-friendly features. The eBiz portal is a transformational government-to-business initiative of the Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion, the DIPP, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India, implemented by Infosys, to transform your e-governance experience across the entire business lifecycle. So, whether you want to start a new venture or expand your business, with eBiz, information and services are just a click away.
And now I would like to invite the Infosys team to present the services that are being launched today. I would like to request
Hello, everyone. I hope you're getting enticed by the eBiz portal. We will now take you through a few steps that an entrepreneur takes to avail the services offered on eBiz portal. An aspiring entrepreneur visits the eBiz portal by going to ebiz.gov.in. And this is how the homepage looks. It's full of useful information and yet very user-friendly. The business user now needs to register himself as a new member. The registration is completed by putting some basic information on the portal, like name, mobile, email address, etc. Just enter the user ID and password of your choice, and it is done. To start applying for the services, now business user registration needs to be done. We will now take you through a brief journey of various entrepreneurs who applied for services on eBiz portal. The first set of services we are showcasing here today is from Ministry of Corporate Affairs. eBiz has integrated with Ministry of Corporate Affairs for 4 services: name availability, director identification number, certificate of incorporation, and commencement of business. Shri Vipin wanted to start his firm, and for that he came on. He went to the service dedicated pages to download the form. He filled the forms, affixed his digital signature, and uploaded it on eBiz portal against the specified service. The same was routed to the department system, passing through NSDG. At department end, the processing was done, scrutinizing of electronic form, generation of payment details and SRN, etc. At each processing step, the status was sent back to eBiz portal, and the business user could trace it on his account. Once, after getting the payment due from MCA system, Shri Vijay made the payment due for MCA services using the eBiz payment gateway. Upon processing the application, MCA system issued the certificate of incorporation, and same was sent to eBiz portal, where it was downloadable for the user.
The next set of services that we have integrated on eBiz are the ones with Reserve Bank of India, and they are reporting of advance foreign remittance and reporting of foreign currency under general permission route. So, Messrs. Dataram and Sons received remittance from foreign investor and had to report it to RBI. So Shri Bakshi from Messrs. Dataram and Sons visited the eBiz portal, visited the service page, downloaded the application form, filled it, and uploaded it on eBiz. This form was then sent to the department, the authorized dealer bank, and the Reserve Bank of India for further processing. It was processed, and the status was updated to the applicant. The UIN was generated, and along with that, the acknowledgement letter was shared. This, the user can view on the eBiz portal and download. Similarly, FCGPR service can also be applied for. User will get the registered number and the acknowledgement letter, and the same can be viewed by the user on eBiz portal. The next service that we have is with the Directorate General of Foreign Trade, that is issue of Importer-Exporter Code. Similarly, here, Shri Kaushal went to the eBiz portal, created his login credentials, applied for the service, and uploaded the form. This form was then sent to the DGFT department system and processed by the department, and the status was updated for the same. Similarly, we had CBDT services, permanent account number, and tax deduction account number, which are available on the eBiz portal. Applicant could fill the form, upload it. The forms were sent to the department for further processing, and the TAN and PAN were generated, and the same was shared with the applicant on eBiz portal. Thank you.
Thank you. And I would now like to request the Honorable Finance Minister to hand over the copies of the certificates to the applicants. I would request Mr. Vijay and his partner, Mr. Pavan, to please come on stage and collect their certificate of incorporation issued by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs and received through the eBiz portal. I request Mr. Bakshi to come on stage and collect acknowledgement letter for reporting of advanced foreign remittance issued by the Reserve Bank of India and received through the eBiz portal. I request Mr. Vikas to now come on stage and collect the acknowledgement letter for reporting of FCGPR issued by Reserve Bank of India and received through the eBiz portal. Ms. Shashi Kaushal, kindly come on stage and please collect the IEC letter issued by DGFT and received through the eBiz portal. I request Mr. Vipin to come on stage and collect PAN acknowledgement receipt issued by CBDT and received through eBiz portal. I request Mr. Abhinav to please come on stage and collect the acknowledgement receipt of TAN issued by CBDT and received through the eBiz portal. These are all small enterprises, and we all thank you. Thank you, sir. And I would now like to request Honorable Finance Minister to please address the gathering. Shri Arun Jaitley.
My colleagues in the government, honorable ministers present on the dais, other distinguished guests on the dais, ladies and gentlemen. Let me at the very outset compliment the Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion for this initiative they have taken in easing the process of doing business by creating this portal, which will be a great facility to all persons who are in the business of doing business. In fact, repeated visits to government offices, lengthy applications, faults being found with those applications, and then every other aberration which is concerned with the exercise of power, including discretionary power, gets eliminated when a portal of this kind can provide a facility to you without stepping out of your home and office. The India Director of the World Bank just now mentioned that India ranked fairly low as far as the last rating of the ease of doing business in India was concerned. Harry mentioned somewhat enthusiastically that he was awaiting the next set of data to really assess where we now stand. He assesses it by the data which the World Bank prepares, which I have no doubt is fairly authentic. I also assess it by the interaction I have with both domestic and international investors. I've had varied experience in the last few months. And it is these experiences which have impacted mine and my own colleagues' state of mind, and therefore decided our policy as far as these issues are concerned. I recollect head of an important international bank visiting me, and when I mentioned to him as to where he found the difficulty as far as investment and businesses into India is concerned, I thought he'll come out with the usual tax issues, but he came out with something slightly different. He said, why do you expect me to invest, or people like me to invest in your country, when it takes you 10 years and you still can't make up your mind as to what your policy with regard to insurance is going to be? Ideal investment destinations don't take decades to decide these issues. Another gentleman who came recently said, it's one thing to invite people. It's quite another when they enter your country and then they spend years before they run from offices to offices in order to start their businesses. There are a lot of self-goals over the last few years that have been scored. In a country where you are not certain whether you will get land to set up business, you are not certain as to what the stability and predictability of your taxation issues is going to be. And I think we scored a bit too many self-goals in the past. India cannot be divided into two different schools of thought. Whether you stand for businesses or you stand for the poor people. It is enhanced economic activity, it is job creation, it is additional resources in the hands of the government, which actually helps us to service the poor, to create employment for the poor, and to create opportunities for the poor. And therefore, an opposition to the breakup of this system, which added to the difficulties of doing business in India, is not something which is going to help the poor in this country. It only enables India to remain as a poor nation or a struggling developing nation. And therefore, when we analyze this whole subject, we'll have to actually see what is the various steps which we take and how the community of investors within and outside the country watch us. In the first instance, what is the credibility of our economy? What is the decisiveness of our decision-making process? what is the quick process by which governments take decisions. And it's an irony that after having seen lethargic governments, you today have a government in place which has been criticized for being too fast. Why do you bring about ordinances? You should wait till the cows come home and everybody can be settled and then decisions can be taken. So in fact, one great criticism which has come is you should have waited and not acted fast enough. It's an opportunity for the government to demonstrate to the world that certain decisions which we think are in the larger interest of this country, where economy of India can grow, where we'll be strong enough to fight the menace of poverty and service the poor as far as the country are concerned, if we have to go on that track, we have to be decisive. So the world watches us as to whether we are decisive or not. Are our doors wide enough for people to enter? And therefore, if we put too many entry point restrictions, you aren't helping the environment in which the economy can grow. Even after people enter, how quick are we in the process of enabling them to do business? Do they have to struggle for various permissions? We've seen governments where environmental permissions were held up for entirely collateral reasons. We recently had a debate where there was a conflict between members of the erstwhile government. I don't know which version is true. If one version is to be believed, then permissions were held up because of dishonest considerations. If the other version is true, then environmental permissions were held up because the party was telling the ministers not to grant permissions because of a political positioning. Now, if you create an environment like this, are you going to scare away investors and ask them, well, now is the time where you must go into other territories which are more comfortable for your investment? This is the situation which is going to be existent if you invest in India. And as a result of this, our government took a decision that environmental permissions, where they are to be given, while balancing it with the ecological considerations, will have to be expedited. I think an ideal government is one where those wanting to do businesses don't have to visit the corridors of power. And therefore, permissions, their applications are made, permissions are granted, and their businesses proceed. If we start taxing retrospectively, do we add to the ease of doing business, or do we add to the unpredictability of doing business? And therefore, it was a great onus on us that the image of the country as an ultra-aggressive taxation policy destination, where the implementation of the policy is adversarial in character, has to be diluted, and a lot of issues have to be put to sleep. So we did that. How does anybody, for that matter, in India, when he wants to start, gets land? There's been a lot of debate which has been going on and which will go on the land ordinance which this government has brought. It's not merely business which was made difficult by the earlier law of 2013. In a country where 65% of the population is without respectable housing, You had to provide housing to the people for which you necessarily do need land. You have to build infrastructure both for your own citizens, also for investment to come into the country. You still need land for irrigation, you need land for rural roads. And therefore, besides the security of India, which is paramount for everyone, everyone's interest has to be subservient to the security of India. The other four purposes that we laid down hugely help rural India. One of the in all purposes, the compensation is what it was. In fact, the compensation has been extended to other legislations also. The R&R is what it was. It's been extended to other legislations, the exempted legislations also. So when you say that you can have a simplified procedure for rural infrastructure, including rural roads, does it help rural India or not? Does it help the Indian farmer or not? There was a conscious discussion as to what kind and how you must permit industry. So we didn't use the word industrial hubs. We used the word industrial corridors. So when next to a highway, a narrow industrial corridor is created, the value of land deep inside, next to the corridor, throughout that running corridor increases. Amitabh has handled the Delhi-Mumbai corridor, so he knows it, that the entire rural stretch in this long area, deep inside is going to benefit. It's they who get the jobs in this industrial corridor, and it's their value of land which escalates. Housing for poor, affordable housing. This is when large-scale migration is going to take place from rural areas, and you have a larger suburbanization of India, that people who migrate at low cost need that affordable housing and housing for the poor. And infrastructure certainly helps all. Urban infrastructure is still acceptable. The rural infrastructure is still requires to take many strides. So it helps the people. So those who have a vested interest in keeping India poor and keeping the poor of India poor would like a debate that none of these steps must be taken. People must not be attracted to invest in India. On the contrary, there must be a reverse flight of capital and Indians go out and invest elsewhere, so that economic activity doesn't gain. Employment which helps the average Indian, including the poor, is not generated. Our rural infrastructure remains where it is. No land is available for housing for the poor. And therefore, that's an ideal constituency for some to do politics. But the contrarian ideology is that you ease in these processes, and therefore India is also entitled to evolve and develop. And I'm glad that the world has started viewing us differently. I'm not getting into the statistical data of our growth rates. But today, when competing economies are facing a challenging situation, it's history which has provided us with a rare opportunity where the world is looking at us with investment, and the present government is determined, having eased many processes, to go on that path. And therefore, we are determined that the starting point of eradication of poverty, the starting point of growth of Indian economy, the starting point of job creation is going to be investment into the country. Investment both from within and investment which is an additionality of resource coming from outside. And I'm glad that the Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion has taken this great initiative, which is in accordance with this program of how do you make doing business easier. And therefore, this is going to add to the credibility and potential as far as the Indian economy is concerned. I compliment the minister concerned, Mrs. Sitaraman, and the secretary as the leader of the team of the civil servants, Mr. Amitabh Kant, for this great initiative. And thank you very much for having invited me to this.
Thank you, sir. Shri Arun Jaitley, Honorable Finance Minister. I would now like to request the Additional Secretary, DIPP Shri Shatrughan Singh, to please propose the vote of thanks.
Honorable Finance Minister, Honorable Minister of State Independent Charge, Labor and Employment, Honorable Minister of State Independent Charge, Commerce and Industry, Honorable Minister of State for Finance, Mr. Ono Rule, Country Director, World Bank, Senior Secretaries of Government of India, ladies and gentlemen, I feel privileged and honored to propose a vote of thanks on this historic occasion when we are taking a giant leap forward in our efforts to make it easier to do business in India. On behalf of the Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion, and indeed on behalf of everyone present here, I convey our sincere thanks to Honorable Finance Minister, who is also the Minister in charge of the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. You may have noticed that 8 out of the 11 services being launched today on eBiz portal belong to these two ministries. Without continued guidance, support, and encouragement from Honorable Finance Minister, we would not have been in a position to launch many of these services. We are truly enthused and encouraged by your presence here, sir. Thank you for sparing your valuable time and your words of wisdom and vision. Our efforts aimed at transforming the business environment of India depend crucially on Labour Ministry's ability to provide hassle-free regulatory clearances to businesses. We thank Honorable Minister of State, Independent Charge, Labour and Employment for extending his wholehearted support to the integration of select services of the ministry with the eBiz portal and for his gracious presence here. Honorable Minister of State, Independent Charge, Commerce and Industry has been closely monitoring our efforts towards making it easier to do business in India. She has set tough timelines, made us work hard, and has been a beacon of light in our difficult and dark moments. With a sense of gratitude, I thank you, ma'am, for your overwhelming support. We are grateful to Honorable Minister of State Finance for accepting our invitation at a short notice. Thank you, sir, for being with us today and for sharing your vision of a digital India. We feel encouraged by the presence of Mr. Ono Rule, World Bank's country director in India. He has been extremely generous in extending the support of his team in identifying problem areas in our service delivery systems and in sharing information on best practices across the globe. With a deep sense of appreciation and gratitude, I thank Mr. Rule for accepting our invitation for being part of today's event. I take this opportunity to thank the secretaries and senior officials of the Government of India for not only being with us today here, but also for firmly holding our hands and collectively working together for the cause, namely ease of doing business. Thanks are also due to the representatives of industry who are present here today. The services that we are launching today are meant to make your life easier. Your presence here is almost like a pat on the back. I profusely thank our friends from media for their enthusiasm and support in covering today's event. Finally, let me thank the team of officials from DIPP and Mrs. Infosys who have worked tirelessly for the last 6 months under trying conditions to integrate these 11 services with the eBiz portal. Once again, thank you all.
Thank you all for joining us this afternoon on this momentous occasion. And we'd like that you please join us for high tea on the 4th floor. Thank you.